Welcome to Everything Life and Real Estate. Let's get started with our hosts, Linda McKissack and Dana Gentry.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to Everything Life and Real Estate. I'm Linda McKissack.
And I'm Dana Gentry.
Dana, I love that you have to push your glasses up too now.
Oh, God.
You're joining the glasses world.
Oh, my gosh. Our friend Kathy, who is with KW in Baltimore, Maryland, she's in Charleston right now. And so she had texted me. So we walked early this morning, and she never misses an episode of the podcast. She loves it. And I was trying to read her something from my phone, from my notes from Mo. And I was like, oh, no chance. We're going to have to wait till we get back to the house so I can put my glasses on.
Oh, my gosh. Yeah, because it was dark outside. You couldn't read?
Well, no,
I just didn't have your glasses.
I didn't have my glasses on the walk, and so I couldn't read my phone.
Oh, yeah. You'll have to have like sunglasses with prescriptions, workout glasses with, and the good news is now when I go into a glasses shop, you won't be like, oh, we got to go in here and look around like a lot of my friends.
No, I know. I need to get sunglasses. That needs to be my next thing because I'm switching them in and out, and I hate doing that.
Yeah. Oh, the best thing is to go out of the country and find a cool pair and then just bring them home to Walmart and get the prescription in them. It's so cool.
Oh, yeah. Great idea.
In fact, at Walmart, they go, you have the coolest glasses. I'm like, yeah, I shop everywhere for glasses. That's so fun.
Love it.
Okay, cool. So I'm super excited. Just finished my 10X Breakthrough Challenge. It was amazing. I learned so much.
I can't wait to hear. I like have my notepad ready to take notes because I just could not wait to hear. And Linda, everybody that I talked to that was on just loved it. I told you this, but Jill Sayer in my office in Columbus, she was like, oh my gosh. She said, I had to watch a couple of the recordings because I had something to do at work. And she's like, but I just loved it. She's like, I learned so much.
Well, my number one priority, and I just told Graham this on his call, I woke up every morning at 4 because my number one priority was to make sure whether anybody continued with me or not, they felt like they got so much, they learned so much that week. Wow. So that's what kept me up late and up early. But, I think that's a good sign, responsibility pays off in something like that because I'm going to make sure that I give the value that people could leave there, never do anything else with me and get so much value. So it was super, but the ahas I had, because one of the things my coach kept trying to get me to nail down was what is the problem you solve? And I always say, what's funny is because number one, because I've lived so long and tried so many things and failed my way forward so much, I kept trying to bounce around several ideas. One, of course, setting bigger goals. Mm-hmm. And when I was interviewed in 10X Easier and 2X, it really made me reflect on the reason my life has gotten where it is because of those 10X opportunities. So the reason my life has gotten so big is because of those 10X opportunities either pushed to me by life. Yeah. In other words, life happened and all of a sudden, I'm at a place where I have to make a really big goal that seems impossible, or when I've chosen in my life to go for something big that I had no idea how to accomplish. Yep. I always say those are the two situations that cause you to really set a big goal. And then you realize, and as I went through thinking about that interview, what I realized is actually it's the big goals that help me get out of complacency. And so I kept dancing around, and then I would talk about gradually and suddenly because there's been so many graduallys and suddenlies in my life. And sometimes those are the wake up calls. That's what I call the push to do something bigger. Right. Yep. But what I wanted to train this group is how do you use it as a pull so that you have a bigger life? You don't wait for life to happen. It's going to happen plenty enough. Yep. But what I landed on is the problem that I solve is the way people look at complacency. Oh, and so this is gonna be my whole new platform because I realized, you've always seen the 4 C's and I always add the 5th C, which is complacency. Yeah. Well, the truth is actually complacency is at the end of success, but it's also at the beginning of success. It is. Because when you're complacent, the thing that no one really understands, especially high performers about complacency, it's not about failure or lack of effort or laziness. Complacency is truly it's success is what actually ruins people, because they get successful and they stop having that push and that urgency. So I kind of today I wanted to talk about the number one, complacency is a byproduct of success. It ends with success once you've been successful. Once you've done the 10X, 4 C's that we talk about, going through big commitments that scare you, courage that it takes to do them, finding the capabilities to do it, and then getting more confidence, right? And then I added to Dan's 4 C's, complacency, because what I noticed is myself and everybody else would go from success to complacency. And then we'd stay there for God knows how long sometimes. But the truth is, it should kind of be our trigger that we're looking for a new identity. We're looking to become someone bigger, to have more impact, to make more money, whatever the goal is, right? But we need those big goals to do that. So the byproduct of...
You know what? I just want to say one thing, Linda, because I know I'm so happy that this is what you're doing, because the one thing I'm thinking about right now, and we've talked about this before, but what John Maxwell taught us, the difference between people who get to the top 10% versus the ones who get to the top 1%. And what holds the difference between those is normally success, because those people at 10% say, I've had some success. I'm good with this amount of success. This is more success than I ever thought that I would have. And so they stop, which equals they get complacent.
Yes. And, I think about every gradually and suddenly that happened in our life. We had success in whatever area it was, and we got complacent, and then we were surprised by the gradually and suddenly. And then the gradually and suddenly forced us in, like Gary Keller always says, you're jumping 2 feet high in a 10-foot hole.
He said that. I just heard him say that on Tuesday this week. And it was so funny because I hadn't heard it in so long, and actually highlighted when he said that, because he said, I was only, I've got it right here, but he said I was 6 foot tall, jumping 7 feet. And then I fell in a 10-foot hole. And he said, then I just realized I had to jump higher. And I thought so many people need to hear that.
Yes. And the breakthrough is you will figure out how to jump higher. You haven't had to do it before, but now that you're pushed, that's where the push comes in. You're pushed to do it. But a couple of things I wrote down is you don't get complacent when you're hungry. So when you're not hungry, which is when you've had success, there's no time for complacency. You don't get complacent when things are working. You just kind of think everything's okay. Revenue is stable.
Yep.
People respect you. You stop feeling urgency. And what happens is the complacency sets in because we're not trying to grow. We're trying to protect. So we're moving from a place of growth because quite honestly, sometimes it can be uncomfortable.
Yep.
And complacency after confidence is warm and fuzzy. You want to just stay there for a while. Let me just stay here and hang out. But the truth is we lose that sense of urgency until either we decide to set a big goal and go for it and get uncomfortable again, or we get pushed into the 10-foot hole jumping 2 feet high.
Don't you feel like that's most people? It's when they get pushed into it.
Most of the time, quite honestly. And part of what I tried to help the group in the challenge last week understand is this is actually, and it's so, Dr. Benjamin Hardy's new book, Scaling, talks all about this. But the good news, and there's so much other research. I've found so many other people that talk about this. Jordan Peterson. There's so much psychology behind all this. I've done a lot of research on it to see what all backs it up. But the truth is, those bigger goals create that urgency that you don't keep after you've been pretty successful for a while. That goes away. And it's that urgency that forces you. And so unfortunately, people haven't learned to use this as a tool. But it's actually a pretty great tool if you will learn to say, hey, I think I need something bigger because I need that urgency. I need that sense of hurry. I need that challenge and uncomfortable that I'm going to be because I don't know how to accomplish this big thing that I've just set out to accomplish.
Yeah. So really, Linda, the whole thought of it is then why wait until you're pushed? Like this should be the mindset that you have all the time. I mean, so that even when things are great, you're not waiting for the gradually, then suddenly you're already looking, for what's next and how to not get complacent.
Yeah. And see complacency as a clue that it's time for you to find a new identity, a new brighter future of who you could become and what you want out of life. And then that's going to create that urgency again, especially if you like Dr. Benjamin Hardy says, you make a time frame that's very short, 3 years or less. Because how many of us, if we set a goal to do something in 10 years, we wait till year 9 to even get started, right?
Yep.
So it was very eye-opening to really understand the real problem. I think that I'm here to help people understand is once you get into that complacency, it's just a signal that you've probably done this before and you've had success, but now you're staying too long in that success. And as humans, we're all wired to keep growing and becoming all that we can become. We're not, there is no destination that we're going to get to. I think, the joy comes in who we become as we try to grow, as we try to go accomplish things. And of course, you can't do any of this without, changing your habits, changing who you're trying to become as a new person. So what does this new person say yes to? What does this new person say no to? How do they act? How do they behave? What are their habits? And so now you sit on this whole new journey of figuring all that out, because all that doesn't come after you've become that person. It comes before you can become that person. And I think people want to wait until they have it all figured out instead of just learning to say, man, this could be a very powerful tool in my life if I learn to understand it and utilize it.
Yeah. Do you have a time or like an example where maybe you were complacent and so can you give any sort of example that people could follow through?
Yeah, I have two. One where I was pushed into it, and one where I used it as a tool to pull. Okay. So the first one is when Jimmy was in the restaurant nightclub business. I'm not even on the radar of who I am and how I can make a living. I've never made more than minimum wage, except if I waitressed or bartended, then I could get some good tips. So I'm just kind of complacent with his success. Not even thinking or realizing, who am I supposed to become? What can I do here in this world? Until all of a sudden the economic crash happens. Worst one Texas has ever seen before or after. Even 2008 and 2009 was not this bad. And we get this wake up call that said, wow, now we're in a deep hole that we don't know how to get out of. We have no capabilities to get out of this hole. So that was a push one, right? And then all of a sudden, and I tell in the story when I'm working with people is when we read the books, because when you're in that situation, you got to start looking for answers. Because if you had the answers, you wouldn't be in the situation. So what do I not know that I need to know? What books do I need to read? Who's been in this situation before that can help me get out of it? And so you start searching frantically for that help. And when we found books that told us the people that don't get as much in these situations are people that are wealthy, and the 3 ways to build wealth is real estate, businesses, or assets. And we had none of those at that point. Then the big impossible goal was how do we get in the real estate investing business? And most people would have waited, Dana, and they said, well, I will do this when we get out of this debt.
That's right.
But thank God, I just said, okay, if this is what we're trying to do, my brain went to work to try to find the pathways to do it while we were still in the debt. Yeah. And so, part of what people have to realize is where do you create that space and that quietness so that your brain can go to work and get the answers you need to solve this big problem you're in? Either way you got there, either by choice or by push, right? And so in that, I found a property immediately, because I think our brain, Dan Sullivan says, your ears only hear and your eyes only see what you're looking for. Yep. So now that I knew what we were looking for, found a property, but immediately my limiting beliefs, but mostly Jimmy's limiting beliefs when I came home to tell him about it was, Linda, are you nuts? We don't have any credit. They're not going to loan us more money. We own $600,000 that we don't have. And then second of all, we can't go get a loan, and we don't have any money. Have you not seen us downsize our cars and do all this stuff? And so my brain went to work, because when you have a big challenge, your brain has to find the 1 or 2 pathways that you could get there, because it's a big impossible thing you think you're going to do. And my brain went to work, and I thought of a builder friend of mine who is a partner. And I immediately called him the next morning and I said, I think Lou will do it if I call and ask. And I said, Lou, I've got a property. All I have is my commission to throw in. I have nothing else. I can't go to the bank. But if you would partner with us, I'll let you do the repairs at whatever a fair cost is, and we'll split the money when we split the property. And that got us off and running. And he bought the next 2 properties with us still while we were climbing our way out of $600,000 in debt. So I think people let that one first limiting belief, either from them or from someone else, stop them from finding the pathway. Whereas if you just go to work and find the pathway to get that big goal and that big impossible thing that you're trying to accomplish done, there is a way, but your brain's not going to look for it until you put yourself in that situation.
Well, and I love what you said. You have to be willing to, you have to figure out how to create the space so that your brain can go to work. Because sometimes when you're in that situation, you're in such fight or flight that I don't think people necessarily, and I've been there, but they aren't taking the space to let their brain go to work. They're just stuck in the problem. And then they can't figure out how to get out of the problem because they're just stuck in that, on that hamster wheel every day, all day.
Well, you and I keep listening to great leaders who spend that time thinking, but for me, I don't know why, it's always in my sleep. Yeah. Sometimes when I'm walking or when I'm listening to something, I'll get my ideas, but mostly it's when I sleep. And so I have a sign in my bedroom that says, give it to God and go to sleep. That's kind of what I do. But my brain will go to work and start solving the problem. That's why even before I do a talk or before I did this challenge, I would go over the information and then I'd go to sleep and let my brain just kind of process and give me, ideas of, oh, wait a minute, this story would work well there. And this, all those things. But I think we don't create if we're constantly filling our brain with YouTube and everything, which we all do, we're information junkies, but where is your space? Is it walking? Is it running? Is it in the shower? Is it in the hot tub? Is it, when you're quiet, finally get quiet and still? Or do you just make a time where you go sit down and you process and you think?
Yeah. Yeah.
But everybody has a place. First of all, you have to give it the big challenge to solve. And then you have to find the places where you can be quiet and just listen. And I always say the Holy Spirit gives it to me. Everybody may have a different place that theirs comes from, but I think if I put it out there, the Holy Spirit will just find a place where I'm quiet and nudge me with the answers.
Yeah. Yeah. So true. Or sometimes I think it's so cool when the Holy Spirit will use somebody else to give you send it to you too, or tell you things, or like once you and I said, once you hear it 3 times, you're like, okay.
Yeah. Okay. I hear you. Yeah. Well, and I think the other thing is people try to solve it by themselves. And if the goal and the dream is big enough, then you're going to have some who's, right? Yeah. And most people either think they're bothering someone, and part of what we did in the challenge was I make them understand that it's either it's a who that's going to do a task that they do better than you, or that you need to not be doing because you can't reach the bigger goals if you continue to do that activity, or it's a person who actually has accomplished it and they know how to do it, and all you got to do is ask them or get in their world. Or I tell the story, 2 stories around this. I tell the story of Tony DeCello, where when we managed to get to a conference while we were still climbing out of this $600,000 in debt. And from the stage, he says, and this is back when 600,000 was like doing 3 million today in GCI. Literally nobody did it. And he said from the stage, I made $600,000 gross last year in real estate. We're like, he has got our magic number. And we tackled him on break, went rollerblading with him when we looked like a bunch of idiots with skates on.
That still makes me laugh every time I hear that, because the image of Tony DeCello roller skating always makes me laugh.
Oh, yeah. He was amazing. Matter of fact, I would have to hang on to him because he would go so fast. I'd be like, I'm just going to hang on the back of him. And we went to movies.
Do you remember when we went to that Maxwell thing and he was throwing those logs over top that when those SEALs made us work out in San Diego, remember? And I thought, there's no way Tony DeCello is going to be able to do this. And he went straight through there. I was blown away.
He was always very, very active, very physical. Yeah. But here's the thing. We didn't have anything to offer him, but we did ask. And he, most people want to share and give. And most people are it's not that the people don't want to share and give. It's most people are unwilling to ask, right? But I think once you give your brain, the challenge, and you understand complacency is a clue that I'm looking for a new identity. And to get a new identity, I need a big goal that that identity takes. And then I need people around me to help me solve that.
Love that. So good. Man, so good. So did people, okay, so wait, go back to the challenge. Did people in the challenge just eat this up?
Yeah, I real honestly, because again, my number one fear was they're going to leave this 4 days and feel like, man, I got nothing. And that could not happen. I mean, I thought, I don't care if they continue with me. I don't care if they don't continue with me. I want them to leave and feel so good, to have a wake up call, to understand that, that this is the feeling they've been having, whether they want to call it burnout or stuck or complacency, whatever, because I think there's different words for it. It's a signal to you that you need your new identity. And you know, you can't do the big goal with the identity you currently have. You're not that person, or you would have already done it. Right. Yeah. So to start looking at this as a way of life, not, you know, just an occasional, when life forces me to do it, I do it. So yeah, I think that was definitely the case. And then I'm super excited to go ahead and move forward with the people who really want to spend the rest of the year, you know, accomplishing the big goals that they set out.
So what's that going to look like? You're going to work with those people one-on-one, and you're going to do a challenge again too.
Yep. Yeah. Right? We'll do another one the first week of April. We've already got the information going out about that. Cause we had some people that just couldn't do this one, and there was just, the timing didn't work. So yeah, we'll do it again. And then, we'll just continue it through the year. I'm super excited because I can't wait. I told Graham the other day when I sent him a text, and I said, I can't wait till I have texts from people like I'm about to send you of their success and what they've accomplished and how much farther they've gone this year due to thinking like this, rather than where they would have gone if they'd have just continued to 2X all their goals.
You know what's so crazy? I'm just sitting here thinking about this now. I felt in my heart that I knew that you would love working with Graham so much, because Graham reminds me of Press. And Press works, you and Press work really well together. And every time I've learned from Graham, I thought he reminds me so much of Press. And it's that simplifier. It's the simplifying of the ideas and making everything simple and breaking it down. And Graham does that at a super high level. I mean, Adam just, you know, loved working with him. But he gets it.
Yeah, I don't think multipliers really understand the importance of having simplifiers around them. And then the other thing I've noticed is, I think the people that I love to follow the most, like Gary Keller and Dan Sullivan, people like that, they're simplifiers. And I think the reason I like that is because I am such a multiplier brain that when I really believe in something, I just want to go tell the world about it and get the world on board with it, that my brain gets caught up in that and can't figure out the simple, the simple path to get there. I mean, I would probably get there, but there'd be a ray of a mess all around me to get there. And you can get there so much faster if you work with a simplifier, or you understand, if you're a multiplier, you need a simple path to get there. And that's what I told Graham today. I said, you know, what I loved is I just had to focus on what I'm good at. I didn't have to think of anything else, because your system is so simple. So that was really helpful to just say, I'm not worried about all that other stuff. He's already given us the path for that. I just need to do what I do well, which is teach people, help people have a different thought around something, motivate them to take action, those kind of things.
Yeah, so good. So do you already have a sign up for the next challenge that we can link, or?
Yes, Zoe is definitely. Yeah, Zoe has it. It's coming out this week. Also, it'll come out, but she has it, and we're putting it in the link for today's episode. So it'll be great.
Okay, yeah. So if you missed the first one, then you can definitely. And how many hours is it a day?
The 4-day challenge is 2 hours if you're in the VIP part of it, and only an hour if you're in the general admission. So it can be 1 to 2 hours depending on, every day, we do 4 days. So they do 4 days straight. And if they miss it, they just go back and listen to the recordings.
Yeah. So good. Yeah. Oh, that is so great. Man, that is so good. I can tell that you're so passionate about this. So that is awesome, because it's really, and it's just so, and Linda, you know what? I think this is actually perfect, probably divine, perfect timing right now, because there's a lot of people who are complacent. And quite frankly, especially in real estate, you know, we just got out of the worst 3 years we've had in, you know, forever. And people are just kind of they're kind of complacent. I mean, that's just the word that they are. They need that new identity, as you said, or that next big commitment, or whatever that is, to push that huge impossible goal, to just push them to go do something else, even if they're not doing it on their own. Like, they might need that push. A lot of people are having that right now.
I agree. And, you and I kept getting burnout and stuck and all the words that people would say to us. But here's the thing. I think before someone quits, they should try this before you quit something, because I think most of the time when people quit, whether it's in a leadership role or an agent, they quit because they miss that hunger and that excitement and that all the stuff that they got when they were building it or when they were first learning and doing it. So before they quit, I think they should try, hey, this sounds crazy, but I'm actually going to set a bigger goal, one that I have no clue how to do. And when you really observe, especially like in the leadership role, team leaders that knock it out of the park, they constantly are doing reinventions and setting big impossible goals and thinking outside of the box. And that keeps them hungry, and it keeps them where they're not complacent.
It totally does.
So I think burnout really is a signal that you're complacent, and you need to get out of that complacency by trying to achieve something even bigger than you've been trying to achieve.
Yeah. And you just said one thing made me just think of what Gary said in Austin this week about the journey. You just have to be a journeyer. He says that all the time. And the journey is when you're excited and things happen. I mean, I just even think about the book. Like, I was talking to I had a call with my brand builder strategist yesterday, and she's like, well, how do you feel? And I'm like, to be honest, it was great to hit the list and everything was awesome. And now I'm like on to the next thing. Like the journey, it was awesome. And now I'm ready to do it again. But it's like that journey part, there is something to that, just keeping that journeyer mindset and then going and not getting complacent.
Yeah. And, Dane, that made me think of something. I mean, honestly, you inspired me, because when you're complacent, the last thing you want to do is be around other complacent people. You need to be around people who are actually doing bigger things, because it inspires you and makes you wake up and go, maybe I've been a little complacent. Maybe I need to do something else. So I think hanging around other people who can learn to say, okay, I'm complacent, time to do something big. I got to go on a new journey, and the new journey is going to be scary, exciting, and all the things, but it's going to be so worth it. Right. And so I think hanging around other people and getting around people who live like this, it helps you too. Because I have to tell you, I was super inspired by what you did last year. It was amazing. That was a lot. And I know it took a lot. But, the thing I noticed with deciding I was going to do this 10X challenge, all of a sudden I had to let go of some crap that wasn't serving me well anyway. Yeah. Most people think, well, I don't have the time to do something bigger. Yes, you do. You're just using it somewhere else. And what I found was I was using it in other places, but it actually woke me up in all areas. In the regions that I own, I woke up and said, how can we go find independents who need to partner with us? How can we launch new market centers? So it really woke me up in every area to understand complacency has a cost. And you can't just succeed once or twice and just stay there, because number one, we're so wired to grow. And I think, like Gary says, become all we're here to become, that those signals, your body is giving you those signals, and you need to pay attention to them.
Yeah. So true. So true. Man, this is so good. Well, I'm super excited for your second challenge. We'll be linking it. Actually, I've just sitting here and wrote down 3 names on my piece of paper. I just thought of one more, Mandy. Okay. That I'm going to personally reach out to and say, you have to do this. You need to do this challenge.
Well, and the cool thing is, Dana, with watching you last year, I saw you be more excited than I've seen you be in a long time. Yeah. And once you start, I always say, once you know something, you can't pretend you don't, and I think once you realize and you watch someone and they look uber successful before they do anything else. But what you realize is they were actually complacent, and their energy changes the minute they decide they're not going to be complacent anymore. I watched your whole energy change last year. Yes, you were stressed, and yes, you struggled. But the truth is, you got a new energy and excitement about you, and new opportunities came your way because of that.
Right. Yes, very true.
I mean, so it's really kind of cool, and it's good to see once you see it on the outside into someone else. It's just confirmation that this is so true. We have to understand and see complacency differently than we've seen it before. It's a wake-up call. It's a wake-up call, calling you to something bigger and brighter. And I always say, when something bigger and brighter is ahead of you, you'll let go of what you are hanging on to right now.
Yeah.
But not until.
True.
I know you had to let go of some things to fit all of this in. But nothing bad happened from you doing that. Nobody died.
Better things happened.
Better things happened.
I wouldn't have let go of some of those things if I wasn't, it does. It all works out how it's supposed to when you do that, when you have that mindset.
Yeah. You almost force out the stuff that's nonsense and noise that you don't need, because you don't have time for that now. You've got to find the things that do matter and find the things that will work.
That's right. Yeah. So good, man. This is going to help a lot of people. I'm so excited. It's so good.
Yeah, I'm excited too. So remember, if you have not hit the subscribe button, please go ahead and do that now. And the greatest compliment you can pay Dana and I is to two things. One, pass this podcast along to somebody that you think that would enjoy the conversations. And then number two, give us a review so that we can get higher up and meet people that we haven't actually met yet. If you have a question, a challenge, a topic, or a person that you would like to see as a guest on our podcast, be sure and reach out to us at info@everything life and real estate. And Dana, I'm super excited about the end of this month. I cannot wait to come to Matt Lake's class.
I'm going to text him right now as soon as we're done. I'm so excited. That's going to be so fun. Yay.
Be sure to subscribe for more business strategies and tactics to inspire you to live an abundant real estate life. Don't forget to rate and review so we can bring you the best content. Find this and other valuable information at everythinglifeandrealestate.com.